I want to let everybody know that I do have the link for the recipe in the show notes. So if you want the recipe, don't worry if you can't follow along and take notes or whatever. We're going to have that all ready for you to go. So do you want to show us how you're going to make this?
Sure.
And you came up with the name. What is your name of the recipe?
Gratifying granola.
Gratifying granola, and it's going to be gratifying.
Yeah.
Okay.
And be sure to stay to the end because I've got 15 different ways to use granola. 15 different ideas. Plus, maybe you'll have different ideas that we'd love to hear. So stay tuned. But the way this kind of came about many moons ago, granola and bell bottoms were the in thing, and I liked both. And I understand bell bottoms are back in style now, and I'm hunting for the right pair. But granola kind of fell off my list. Back then I was adding oil and honey I was using, and it was good. But it fell off, and without using oil now, I finally said, okay, I've got to find a way to do this. So this is what I came up with so that we can have it compliant to the way we eat now. So first we're going to look at the dry ingredients that are going in. And what we're going to start with are 8 cups of old-fashioned rolled oats. So organic is better if you can. And if you are watching your gluten, then get gluten-free oats. I mean, that's the beautiful thing about this is that it is so flexible, and you can just do, just so many varieties of this to make it fit what is important to you. So this is the pan I like to use. It is stainless and it is big, but I like it for many reasons. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take the oats in here. And so that was 8 cups of rolled oats and 1 cup of steel cut oats. Again, organic if possible. And when you see the recipe, it'll say optional. So a lot of these things, use them or don't use them, it doesn't matter. Then the rest of our dry ingredients, we're going to take hemp hearts or hemp seed. And we're going to have a 1/4 cup.
I love that pan.
Yes.
My husband Rick loves it.
Many years, and I finally said, this is the right thing for it. So this was organic hemp hearts. And we're going to take a 1/4 cup of organic flaxseed.
Now, you didn't put anything on the bottom of the pan, right? There's no oil, nothing, right?
Nothing on mine. I mean, but if you need to, you can put parchment if it makes, depending on your pan and what makes you feel comfortable. I haven't needed to. Then the other dry ingredient, and again, optional, but I do really like to use, is sesame seeds. So the thing about sesame seeds is they're an excellent source of calcium and iron and magnesium. So if you can incorporate them, fine. Some people are not eating seeds or not eating nuts. It's okay. Put whatever you want. But I'm going to throw in 1/4 cup of sesame seeds.
Wow, this is going to be good.
So we're stirring that up. And then, again, now this is optional, but the recipe I put forth is calling for a cup of walnuts, chopped. So this is an old timer of mine. And walnuts. Yeah. So it's really easy. You just dump some in. Cap it and crank it. And you've got
this looks like a fun recipe to do with the kids or the grandkids.
Sure, yeah,
and
this is totally safe.
Grind that.
Yeah, and the blades are inside. It's totally safe. So, sure.
Yeah. And they could just dump things in that big old pan and you wouldn't have to worry about a mess because they probably wouldn't miss. They'd probably get it right in there and they could mix it. This would be a fun thing to do with family.
Yeah. So I already did a whole cup to save time. And so that's going in. So those were chopped walnuts. And if you do eat nuts and you prefer almonds, use almonds or use both. It's just so flexible and easy to do whatever you want. Next thing I wrote on there, but I don't typically do, is coconut. And I would use unsweetened coconut, and you could probably put it in at the end maybe so it doesn't cook too much. Then another thing, if you're eating seeds, would be sunflower seeds. So I'm going to put in a cup of sunflower seeds.
You've got beautiful sunflowers there too.
Yeah. Okay, now for spices, we're going to use a tablespoon of ground cinnamon. And again, if you use more, use less, it doesn't matter. But so I'm throwing in some cinnamon. And then another optional item is going to be cacao powder. And again, organic if possible. How much doesn't matter. Put in a tablespoon, fine. Never met a chocolate I didn't like, as you know. All right. So now I'm just kind of stirring this up. I think that's all for the dry ingredients, yeah. But again, if you want slivered almonds or whatever you want, that's fine.
That's great, because if somebody had a nut allergy to one particular kind of nut, they could just
Right, or if you don't do
another.
nuts at all, don't do
Right.
nuts. I actually saw a suggestion to put in raw quinoa, and I'm not that brave to put in raw quinoa. I don't know. If someone tries it or uses it that way, let us know. But it sounds good. I don't know. It just didn't.
I wonder how that works. I mean, because you would rinse the quinoa, right? And then I
Right.
guess you would have to dry it out and then put it
And
in,
so
or I
would
guess
it-
it didn't
would it
matter.
cook, or I guess even if it was just crunchy, I guess if you're looking for crunch, it's more crunch. So I don't know. I
Yeah.
didn't do it, but it's a suggestion. Okay, so
Well, if
that's
anybody out there decides to add raw quinoa, let us know.
right. Okay, so again, here's our dry ingredients. And now we're going to move on to the wet ingredients.
I love your kitchen, Beverly. You have such a pretty kitchen.
Thank you. Okay, so now, again, we're avoiding the honey and we're trying to get sweet. We definitely want some sweet. So I put in unsweetened applesauce. And again, organic if possible. Whatever brand, doesn't matter. Funny thing is, this is like Walmart has a lot of organic things. And my sister, I keep telling her, they've got this, they've got that. Her Walmart has nothing compared to ours. So it's just kind of a standing joke. Then the other thing is I put in 3/4 of a cup of date paste. Now, we use the word date paste, and what we use is these. They're called baking dates, actually. So you can look all day for date paste, and you're not going to find this particular product. It's a Middle Eastern product. It is not organic. We get it at Walmart. Only one of our Walmarts carries it. But it's very handy. I use it. I buy a lot of it. I use a lot of it. A lot of us in the group do as well. Alternatively, and if you want to do organic, specific more, you can get organic dates. So if you're going to use dates as opposed to date paste, you're going to want to soak them first and then use the water that they soaked in and purify it. So in a high-speed blender, whatever, you're trying to get to a liquid state to add into this. So we've got the applesauce and the date paste, and then we've got maple syrup if you want. I put in a 1/4 cup of maple syrup, and then a cup of water.
Or we could just add more date paste if we didn't.
Exactly, whatever you like, or more applesauce, or just whatever it is that you want to sweeten with. So no, you don't need. Again, that's the beauty. Make it what you want it to be. And then a cup of water or non-dairy milk. I'll often use oat milk. I like this oat milk. I get it on Amazon by the case. And, but you can use water or milk in this instance. So what I did, and then we also have almond extract, which is again, optional. I put in a 1/4 teaspoon. The amount doesn't matter. And vanilla, and this time, you see all these recipes where they say, well, use vanilla powder. And I'm going, yeah, and I look at it and it's $38. And I go, oh. So I realized I had some vanilla beans in my cupboard. And I said, okay, what's it going to take to make those into vanilla powder? So good old Google, I look it up. all you do is you bake them for 5 minutes and you grind them and you've got vanilla powder. So I did that, and it is super fragrant. I mean, it is amazing.
So you bake them for 5 minutes, what, at 350?
Yeah, whatever, Google it. And yeah, it doesn't. And then I put it in this little coffee grinder, ground them up, buzz, I've got vanilla powder. So
now you're gonna be selling your bootleg vanilla powder. That's great.
Again, however much you put in doesn't really matter. A tablespoon, a teaspoon, you know, whatever. What I've done in this instance is I put all this in and heated it up. And the reason is because I was using date paste, and the date paste is chunky. It's hard, you know. So in order to make this pourable and liquid, I did heat it up. But if you did it with the whole dates and you did it in the high-speed blender, you wouldn't need to heat it up. So now we are just going to combine the wet ingredients over the dry. And so it's just a matter of pouring it in. It totals about 2 cups of liquid. So that's what you're kind of shooting for. Again, doesn't need to be critical. All right, that's enough. And then the thing is to just really toss it well, really coat it as much as you can.
And try not to eat it while you're doing it.
Right.
Because it probably tastes good just like that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So again, just coat it the best you can. What I like to do then is I will bake it. I'll put it in the oven. All right, this isn't stirred all the way, but just because I cleaned my oven out, you're going to look at it.
Yeah, we also have another inside joke about the oven, right?
So the funny thing about my oven is, I don't know if you were at that potluck one time. Someone came in and wanted to keep something warm at the potluck, and she brought in her dish and said, "Can I put this in your oven?" And I'm like, "My oven? My oven's a repository. It's where I store things. I don't use it. This is the only thing I use my oven for. Otherwise, I use my Breville or my toaster oven or something. But in my Instant Pot, I never use the oven. So this is the only thing that I use the oven for." But anyway, so what I'm going to do is then you want to keep the fairly low temperature. So 325, I wouldn't go above that. And then stir it every 7 minutes, 5 minutes, 7 minutes, whatever, doesn't matter. But you really want to keep an eye on it because it can burn quite easily. And then again, the flexibility is, do you want it chewy? Don't cook it so long. If you want it crisp, cook it longer. So I have on the recipe 35 to 45 minutes until it's golden, and you will see the color change. But, if you want it really crisp, cook it longer. Just keep an eye on it at that point, because then it can really burn if you're going to go past that. So then when you're done, and we don't have time now, but when I pull it out, while it's still warm, I'll add some dried fruit. So I will typically add, organic raisins and, where are they? Oh, here. Yeah, I found these. I love golden raisins. Did you ever use those?
A long time ago, but I hadn't found them organic, so
they're non-GMO. So they were non-GMO, and I'm going, okay, that's close enough.
Yes, close enough.
I'm pretty sure it was Walmart again. But but if you want to chop dates or chop dried cherries or any dried fruit that you like, I just would recommend putting it in at the end, because otherwise it's going to decimate. I think it would just cook too much and it wouldn't be there. But so if you put it in while it's warm, stir it up. And that would probably be a time if you wanted to add coconut flakes, I would probably do that at the same time. And then you store it and eat it and enjoy it. So anyway, it's just, Amy, I really wish you could try this.
That's the hard part of doing this broadcast is that we have so many talented cooks on like you, and we watch them make the food, and we just kind of like salivate and say, well, I'm just going to have to try this recipe on my own. And then, and we just have to wait until we make it ourselves. And it's a tough job watching you cook. And what I did like about the fact is, another thing I liked about this recipe is it's basically, well, it's like a 2-pot, but there's hardly anything to clean up afterwards, because you basically having, you just have that one pot that you used,
Right.
and then
Let
the
me show you
pan.
the product. So I do have some that I made already. So here's what mine looks like when it's done.
Ooh, look at that. I'll just take that bowl right now. Look at
Well,
that.
I don't
So,
know if I can
do you
do that,
keep
but
it?
I'll tell you what,
Do you
the
keep it?
internet is pretty
Keep
cool.
it on the counter, Beverly?
I'm sorry?
Do you usually keep it out on the counter? You refrigerate it?
I actually usually keep it in a Rubbermaid type thing in the cupboard, but I don't keep it in the
In
refrigerator.
the cupboard.
Yeah, and
So
it
that's
stays for a
great.
long time. Yeah.
Oh, that looked really
Anyway,
good.
so the internet's pretty awesome, don't you think? All these people are all over the place and they're watching us. If we could just get it to transport things, wouldn't that be cool? I'd love for you to try.
Yeah.
Well, let me see. We're going to try this. Let me get a sample for you. All right.
What do you?
I've got this here.
Uh-huh.
And I've got a teleport button somewhere. Let me find it. Teleport. Okay, hang on. There it is. Okay. All right, I'm going to try sending you some. Hang on. Here we go.
Oh my God. Look at that, guys. Oh, I'm so lucky. I am going to take. Let me open it up.
Well, while you're doing that, Rebecca's been working so hard behind the scenes. Nobody gets to see her. Nobody appreciates her. Let's send some to Rebecca. What do you think? Should we do it?
Well, okay. Get ready,
All
Rebecca.
Right, let's play that button again. Teleport. All right, let's try this. Hang on. Send.
Are we lucky?
This is awesome. Thank you so much, Beverly.
Yeah, try it. Do you like it?
Okay. The moment of truth.
Did you like it?
These golden raisins.
Yeah.
Ooh. Yes, this is the perfect snack.
It does. It travels well.
Fabulous. Thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure.
Oh, wow.
All right, now, 1 second, I need a drink. Wait, I got to give the dog another pacifier here. Hang on. Here.
So this is great, you guys. I'm sorry that we can't teleport this granola all to you, but the recipe's pretty easy to follow along. So if you go in the comments below, you're going to see in the show notes the link to the recipe, and then you could always watch and make it along with Beverly, and then it wouldn't take long, and you would have your own granola.
Yeah, and you can look for that teleport button too and try and share it.
Somebody said you people are creative.
So now I'm going to give you my top 15 ideas of ways to use granola. And if you have other ones, we'd love to hear them. My first and favorite is, like you said, cold cereal with fresh fruit. And it's just about every morning I have it. Strawberries, blueberries, bananas, whatever it is. And I use oat milk is what I prefer. But that's my favorite thing is cold cereal. Second is going to be just as a dry snack, like you said too, for traveling. It's just wonderful to have, with you. Another thing is top your favorite ice cream. So what about some nice chocolate banana ice cream and put some granola on top. Add crunch. Number 4 is going to be make a parfait with a dairy-free yogurt and some fruit and layer in some granola. Be beautiful and nice treat. It could be a topping on fruit crisp. So if you're making apple crisp or whatever kind you make, go ahead and put some granola as your topping. It could be a topping for baked apples. And that would really be delicious. Sprinkle it on some salad. Why not? It's got all kinds of good stuff in there, and just add something different to your salad. You could use it as a topping on roasted vegetables. And you could bake with it. So you can add it to cookies, muffins, breads, granola muffins, whatever you want, and use it that way. You can make granola bars. And then can't forget chocolate. How about some chocolate chip granola cookies? Let me know when they're ready. Energy bites, roll them into a ball with some nut butter and some date paste or whatever, fruit or something, and just make little energy balls with them. You can roll banana pieces in it and freeze them. So take little big pieces of banana, roll it in, freeze it. Got another fun snack. You can add it to your oatmeal. So if you're already having cooked oatmeal every day, add in some granola for a little variety. And you could add it to smoothies too, if you want. So that's my top 15 uses. And does anybody have any other suggestions? We'd love to hear them.
That was great. Those are such creative ideas. And I just could picture, as you were listing them off, I could picture myself saying, yeah, I could use it. And because you're looking at this big serving of granola that you're making, but it could just go so quickly, especially with all those ideas that you incorporated. But I especially like just having something to take along with me, and then even if you're out in a restaurant and you need to add something onto the dish that you had, or if they didn't have a dessert, you could have some dessert if they didn't have anything compliant. That's really great. If you guys can think of something that you would do with the granola, let us know, or even after you make it, let us know what you did with it, if it was something different than what Beverly suggested. That was fantastic. I'm still looking at that dish saying, maybe I'll just eat some more. But I do have to save some for Rick. So,
yes,
because he's going to want to taste it as well. That's just so great. So what made you decide to how did you come up with this recipe and how did you figure out how to make it without the oil or whatever?
Oh, I just kind of went back to, how did I used to make granola? What was it like? And then what were the things I needed to omit? And so omit really means change, so we still want it sweet. We still want all the, we need a moist and a dry ingredients. So it was just, okay, how can we change those ingredients, getting rid of the oil and the honey. And so it became the applesauce and the dates. And and then, things evolving, like you say, with vanilla powder now being, more popular and, just stuff like that. But otherwise, it's really pretty much the same as what I used to do.
Yeah, that's great. And you still, you're eating the granola and you still maintain your beautiful figure. So people shouldn't be afraid of it because it can be a part of a healthy lifestyle if you incorporate that.
Sure. Yeah. Without the oil. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the other thing, like you said, to make it into a cereal, I think a lot of people miss having cold cereal for some reason. A lot of people were used to having that. So even this would be great for people who are just transitioning and they're missing out on things like that. This would be wonderful. So I'm going to recommend that to a few people that I know that have just adopted this lifestyle to see if they would want it. So you say you don't use your oven very often, of course, except for this. So what appliances do you use in your everyday plant-based lifestyle?
I have that Breville Smart Oven Air, so it does air frying, baking, roasting. It's got 12 different things. It's over in my butler's pantry. You can't see it from here. And my Instant Pot's the only thing that gets to live on the counter, and use that quite a bit. I actually have 2 of those, as many of us do, and so I use that a lot. And my toaster oven, and microwave. I microwave. I'm not I'm opposed to using a microwave. This little thing I was going to show you. You've seen other people online using those pull string choppers, and so here's one, and I actually got it at Publix.
Oh, that's a local grocery.
For those of you that don't
grocery
know,
store.
Publix is a mainstream grocery store, And so this was it. It was $20. It's at Publix. And so it does a good job of, different cutting and chopping and stuff like that. So
yeah, those things are really nice because sometimes we always think about you could have a power outage and you're stuck at home and you want to cook, or if you're, camping or traveling sometimes, even if you're going overseas and maybe you don't have access to things, the electrical outlets are different from the things that you have. So it's a really cool thing. Plus it's good for the muscle, right?
Yeah. Do you have one? Do you have one?
I do actually.
Yeah.
My husband Rick, he's all about being prepared. So
Right.
one of the things that he decided, we have an electric one that we have on our countertop, and we just push on the button and it goes. But he wanted to have one that you could do that in case we were traveling or had a power outage. So it's really cool. Okay, well, I think we have some questions for Beverly.
Okay.
Kristen asks, Kristen says, I love your kitchen, right, Kristen? It's beautiful. It's a beautiful kitchen.
You.
Carol, what do you normally eat in a day?
Okay, that's a fair question. So I start out with half a bagel, which is a millet and flax bagel. It's made by Sammy's Bakery, which is based in Tampa. And I make a homemade cream cheese out of cashews, and I put that and blueberries on top. That's the first thing. Then a couple hours later, I move on to my bowl of granola typically. And then for lunch, I'll do some salad or sandwiches. Maybe I'll have soup left over, soups or stews that I've made. What else? Just mostly I eat a lot of Mexican food. I'll make tacos. I'll make enchiladas. Well, not so much enchiladas. I'll make chimichangas, tacos, tostadas. All those things are just easy. And I'll even make chili rellenos without the batter. I'll just take like whole green chilies and maybe stuff them with some little bit of plant-based cheese and just bake it, And so, but lots of soups and stews and things that I'll put in the Instant Pot, so I can just throw it in and walk away and not think about it.
Well, that sounds great. It sounds like you have a lot of good variety, and you're a busy person. I mean, you work and you're traveling around a lot, so but you make it happen, right? And okay, let's see our next. Mary Harris, what do you use to make? What do you use to make granola bars? Okay, so that was one of the things you said that we could do with this, is to make it into granola bars. So what would you do to do that?
Okay, well, I have not made them. Hi, Mary. Good to see you. I would have to Google it. I would have to look it up. I'm sorry. I haven't made them, yeah, sorry. I don't have an answer.
That's
have you ever
okay.
made them? Has Rick ever made granola bars?
No, he has not. I would imagine you would have to have a lot more sticky sweet stuff to make it stick together.
Yeah. Joanne, are you there? Have you ever made them?
Yeah, we have that. We're trying to get Joanne. She's somebody she's somebody that is in the groups that we participate in, and she's another fabulous cook. I'm trying to get her to come on the show, but not yet. Maybe if we keep nudging her, she will. So sometimes she pops up with some comments and gives us her input. Okay, let's see our next question. Pat, why avoid honey?
Okay. So when someone is plant-based, it's not so much that it's unhealthy as much as that it's an animal product. So if you're doing all plant-based food items, then honey does not fall in that category. It's also extremely high sugar content. So what else? Amy, anything else I left out?
Yeah. So we also avoid it because it does raise your insulin levels, spikes your insulin levels quite high. So even if it was quote unquote plant-based, it still wouldn't be good because it would spike your insulin levels, and that's not something that we want. The dates have fiber in them, so that kind of keeps things from spiking as much as when you use things like honey. Okay, let's see our next question. Kelly, how long does granola last?
I've had it a couple weeks for sure, but I usually eat it by then. The recipe I posted there is kind of a double-sized recipe. You could cut it in half, but to me, it's just not worth the trouble to go through all that for half the amount. The other thing too I didn't mention is that you could use cookie sheets instead of, if you didn't have a deep pan like that, problem with that is, when you're stirring this every 7 minutes, I mean, that could be a hot mess, trying to stir without a lip around it. So I'm grateful to have that big lip on my pan. But it's got a good shelf life. So I would say several weeks for sure. Refrigerate it if you're concerned, but I just eat it.
That was a good question. Okay, let's see if we have another. Patricia Allen, she says, where are the show notes? Okay, so if you're, there's a little arrow that you would click on below where we're talking, and it's just a white arrow, like a triangle kind of thing that points down like that. And if you click on that, then it'll expand things. So, and if you still can't find it, just send me a message and I'll be happy to share it with you. Okay, let's see. Elizabeth, I'm busy too. What do you eat when you travel or run errands for the day? So do you take things along in the car with you? I mean, obviously you take the granola. Is there anything else that you take?
I'll take. Well, those oat bars are a little messy, but just fruits and vegetables. A lot of times, cut up vegetables, fruits. Maybe some, little hummus and some crackers, something like that.
Yeah. One of the things that I don't do it as much now, but in the beginning when I was transitioning and I would get kind of hungry in between meals and so forth and worry that if I was going to leave the house that I wouldn't know what to get. So I would, I still do batch cook potatoes, but back then when I batch cook, and I like the sweet potatoes, and then I would take a cooked sweet potato, and after it cooled off, I'd put it in a Ziploc bag or a silicone bag or however you wanted to carry it. And then I would just always have that with me. And it tastes delicious even when it's cold. So, and you could always sprinkle some cinnamon on it if you wanted to. And that is really nice for me. I think it's fun, but I didn't know about this granola. So I think this is going to be my new thing to carry around with me, because you just never know. You get stuck in traffic. Maybe there's an unfortunate accident. And so just to have this with you all the time, I think it's a wonderful idea.
I also always have little pouches of that applesauce in my car. They make the organic applesauce in those little pouches, and I always keep those with me. They're organic, and there's nothing in them but, typically apples, or if there's another fruit or something, but that's all that's usually in it. And I always have some of those in my car.
Great. And Stephanie just popped up and talked about how she just came on now, and she's going to watch the replay. I just want to let you know, Stephanie, that if you go in the show notes, you'll be able to find the link to the recipe. So maybe you didn't get to hear us say that. Okay, let's see if we have any other questions. Oh, there's Joanne. Joanne said, I have, but don't remember the formula. So we were just earlier, somebody had asked Beverly, well, how would you make that into a granola bar? And we were trying to see if Joanne could tell us. So maybe she'll find out and then come on and tell us.
Right.
And if we figure it out, I'm going to update the link to the recipe. I'll update it and then put that in the notes as well.
Or someone could do another demo and demo some granola bars.
Yes, that would be great.
Yeah.
Okay. See if you have another question. Blake, how do you cook without oil? That's a big deal for a lot of people who are, especially when they're first coming to this lifestyle, and even trained chefs don't know how to do this. So do you want to give your hints?
A couple little things is, the initial thing, you're looking at most recipes and they'll say, put in a couple tablespoons of oil to saute your onion and your vegetables and your, carrots, whatever it is, peppers. So instead, what we'll use is either water or vegetable broth. So I make my own vegetable broth, and you don't have to make your own, but I make it with vegetable scraps in the Instant Pot, and then I'll freeze them in ice cube trays. So I then put them in a baggie. So now when I want to go saute something, I'll pull out an ice cube of vegetable broth and I'll use that. Also, if you're adding mushrooms to something, and mushrooms are so healthy and should be cooked. So anytime you add mushrooms, if you say you're already doing onions and peppers, something like that, and you add the mushrooms, they release their own liquid naturally. So, we've just learned to substitute things for oil. And, it's another long discussion on why we don't eat oil. But, you can, Dr. Esselstyn or anybody of that can certainly talk about that. But it's 100% fat, is what it is. And so there's, there are ways. It's a mindset as well. It's like, okay, you're so used to doing it that way, and now you just have to rethink it a little. But we're all doing it, so it's doable.
Yeah, it can be done. We had Chef Ramses Bravo on, and we talked to him about that. And one of the things he said was, first of all, don't put your heat up too high because you can burn things. And he did talk about the suggestions that you recommended as well. And then the other thing is that he said, because I said to him, I'm really guilty of putting something in the pan and then walking away and maybe washing some dishes, and then all of a sudden I forgot. And so he said, that's because you cook not just with your eyes and your nose and you're tasting your mouth, you cook with your ears. And he said, so you can hear the difference of the sizzling going on in the pan, and just start to listen to your frying pan, and you'll know when it's time to mix something, or if it's sticking, you might have to add a tablespoon of some kind of liquid, whether it be the water or the vegetable broth or what have you, and then you could deglaze and kind of loosen it up. So yeah, he gave some great hints too, but those were very good hints.
Good tip. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So Jacob B, I'm trying to be SOS free. SOS free means sugar, oil, and salt free. Do you have any favorite spices that you use instead of salt?
So, do we want to talk about the fact that 2 of those cupboards are all spices? So I use a lot of different things, but I think one that Amy might suggest is the
Benson's.
Yeah, Benson's Table Tasty. Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of our favorite salt substitutes. It's called Benson's Table Tasty, and I'll put a link for that in the notes too. And as you can see, Beverly doesn't have a small container. She has a large envelope like I do, which is less packaging, of course, so that's good. But yeah, we both use it quite often. So yeah, and that it's really, to me, that was a lifesaver, because I really miss salt, and when I discovered that, it just changed everything for me to get that salty flavoring. So I agree. And then some other things that we have also discovered is that your taste for salt is kind of similar to other tastes, like when you taste lemon or lime. And so that when you incorporate lemon or lime juice into a recipe, sometimes that will make it taste almost like it's salt. Another thing that I like to use, and I bet Beverly does too, is roasted tomatoes. So they're really, when you put them in with a sauce or blend them in, or just let them cook in, they seem to really help too in adding that kind of salty flavor without adding salt. So
I've never really been a big salt fan, but I use a lot of garlic powder, garlic, whatever, garlic or lemon peppers, or like you say, I use a lot of lemon and lime, and I never was a fan of lime, but now, like, I make a avocado and broccoli, and then I make the sauces, just tahini, tamari, and lime juice, and I could eat just humongous bowl of it. It is so delicious, So, just it again, it's a mindset. It's just saying, okay, what are other options? Which is what you were doing. That's a perfect question, is to say, how do I think that way? How do I expand? And there are a lot of options.
Yep. And your taste buds, they neuroadapt. So something that maybe not taste very nicely in the beginning, as you're going along, if you just keep going along, things are going to start tasting better. And like Beverly says, she's got a couple of cabinets full of spices. So do I. The spices, that's where it's at. When typically when you buy food that's prepared, that you buy it in the grocery store and so forth, and even in the restaurants, spices are a little more expensive than salt. So and also salt can preserve things. So the salt is a really popular thing for the processed food companies to use, and also for the restaurants. Salt makes you thirsty, so you'll buy more drinks at the restaurant, and people are just liking that salty flavor. And when you don't have the salty flavor in there, you can definitely add in a lot of different spices and herbs, and you'll get different layers of flavors. And then you'll start saying, what's that? I think I can detect something different when it's not just covered with salt. And also, if you're not cooking with oil, the oil kind of coats your tongue, and it kind of deadens your taste buds. So when you're not cooking with oil, you'll taste those spices and herbs that you're using, and that'll help a lot too.
Right. And if you can grow some of your own, even if it's just little pots or something, and have fresh herbs is good. Another thing that probably takes some getting used to is nutritional yeast, and the nickname being Nooch, but it's something that is kind of helps fill in for the fact that we don't eat cheese. And people sometimes either just love it or hate it, but sometimes it's an acquired taste, so maybe you didn't like it the first time, you looked at it and said, looks like fish food, and I'm yuck, and then maybe you tried it again in another way, and you end up loving it. I mean, I love nutritional yeast. So, but again, it's not something that you might like day one. This is a process. It isn't, it doesn't happen overnight where you're going to love everything and know exactly what to do. It's a process, and it's, if you decide that it's a worthwhile process, then you make it happen.
That's a good point that you made, because oftentimes somebody will say, I don't like, and they'll name a food. And sometimes it's not that they don't like it. They just think they don't like it, but sometimes it's because they haven't yet tasted it in a way that it was prepared in a way that they liked. So sometimes it's a texture that you're not caring for. Like some people don't like mushrooms, but then if you blended them up in a Vitamix in a liquid, you wouldn't have the texture of the mushrooms, and maybe you would like them that way. So don't give up on things like Beverly said. Maybe it's just a different way of preparing it, or as your taste buds neuroadapt, a month from now, something might taste very good that didn't taste good to you in the beginning. So give things a chance. Sometimes it takes a few tries to taste something before it becomes a hit with your repertoire.
Right.
Okay.
Someone just texted me. They couldn't figure out how to make a comment.
Okay. Well, if you're on Facebook, sometimes
she's on YouTube.
Yeah. So you should be able to make a YouTube comment, and if not, then maybe you need to. I don't know if you have it. Maybe if you don't have a YouTube account, they may restrict you that way. I'm not really sure. Okay. So that's something that you can try, but you can always send me a message, and I will see what I can do to post your comment up for you. Or if they want to text you and say their comment, then we can post their comment that way. So we can always try to do that. Stephanie says, Stephanie wants to know, does Beverly have a YouTube channel?
Well, yes and no. Right? The YouTube channel that I have is not related to this topic, so I'm going to say no. It's for my day job.
Yes, but Beverly has a lot of great videos out there, but not. This is her first. See how I'm saying first, Beverly? This is her first cooking show. So maybe you're getting some fan base out there, Beverly.
Well, we have some other videos on your channel from when we did the carrot hot dogs, and what else?
The melty lid.
Oh yeah.
With the soy curls.
Oh right, the barbecue.
Yes.
Soy. Yeah.
Well, yes. So yeah, this is not Beverly's first time doing
not my first rodeo. It's my first time live like this, but it's
yes,
okay.
Yes,
it's all good.
Yes. So if you look on my YouTube channel.
Thank you for your interest.
Yeah, Mary Harris, Beverly and Amy, this has been a fun and yummy recipe demo. I'd love to see more. Oh, thanks so much. So,
Mary, that's beautiful. I know Mary.
You do? Okay.
Yeah, she's a friend of mine. Yeah.
Oh. Are you eating any fermented foods due to the research on the microbiome? If so, what? So much is salty.
So, yes, we were making our own sauerkraut and without salt. And I think you have a video on that probably, don't you? I think Linda did.
Yeah.
Linda
Linda
did
did the demo, but I don't know if we had it
Oh,
on
it's a
video.
video. Okay.
So maybe we can talk her into doing that for us.
Good luck. Anyway, so yeah, we've made sauerkraut, and that's pretty much the only thing that I eat that's that I can think of. I'm not a kimchi fan. Yeah, the sauerkraut, and I didn't even really like sauerkraut, but I put it on carrot dogs, or I'll put it on a Reuben. I'll make like a tempeh Reuben, or something like that. So that's the only ways that I typically like it. But you can make your own. It's really easy. I mean, it's just cutting up cabbage and massaging it and putting it in a jar, and just no salt. It's just putting it in a jar and keeping the lid down and moisture, and then it bubbles up, and then in a few weeks you got. And you can do cabbage and carrots. You can make it colorful. You can do a lot of things with homemade sauerkraut. But absolutely, good point. It's a great food to be eating.
Yeah, I particularly don't incorporate it. I don't go out of my way. Sometimes we have a little kimchi, but it's not because it's fermented. It's just because Rick likes it. But we don't go out of our way to incorporate it. As far as the doctors that I have been interviewing, most of them have said, you can take it or leave it, and it shouldn't make a difference as far as your overall health. But some of them are promoting it, so I wouldn't overthink it. And I definitely agree that a lot of them do have a lot of extra sodium, and I don't think that having all that extra sodium is worth trying to do something fermented. So but everybody
something I used when I was fermenting. Hang on.
Okay. Yeah. And Linda did I'm sorry, but back then when she made the recipe demo, we weren't filming it. That was in our plant-based group. And one of the things I did remember though, is that at the end of the recipe, in order to keep the food down into the mason jar, she would put a golf ball on top before she would close the lid. And that kind of it was like a weight that pushed down on things. So I really thought that was a cute idea. I wish back then that we were recording them so that you could see that. But who knows? Maybe one day we'll get Linda to show us how she does her SOS-free sauerkraut. Okay, so I
have these little glass things that have become the weight, and they go inside the jar, and then this goes on the top, and it's got like a little, I'm going to say nipple for lack of a better word, that lets the air out. So it lets the gas out as it's fermenting. And so those were pickled pebbles or something like that. I don't know what they were.
How'd you find that color, Beverly?
Oh, wow.
If anybody needs something in that color blue and you can't find it, ask Beverly. If she doesn't have it already, she'll probably know how to find it. Okay. Somebody is saying, there is my dear friend Beverly. You may know who that is. I have enjoyed many fabulous things from her kitchen. Miss you much, Amber. Thanks for tuning in, Amber.
Yes,
look at this.
Love you. Thank you.
Oh, isn't that nice? So nice to hear from people and see all your wonderful friends saying hi.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, so now, since you've been doing this since 2012, and maybe there are people that are tuning in today that are just starting out, and maybe they have a few struggles. Maybe some people have stumbled upon this because they're your friend and they're not plant-based, and you want to tell them something about trying it and starting out. So is there some kind of a motivational thing or some kind of a tip that you may want to share with everyone about this lifestyle and adopting it?
Well, everybody has to be open and ready if it's appropriate for them. So I don't put anything on anybody. I've just read and seen so many positive results from people that are plant-based that you want people you care about, you want them to do it because you care about them, but at the same time everybody's got to do what's right for them. So I believe in it. I think it's worthwhile for many situations, but it has to fit you, and you have to want it.
Right. And of course, if you are friends with Beverly, you could always ask her to make you something so you could try it out too. Right. You'd be happy to share something with your friends. Right. Okay. Well, Joanne, Minimalist Baker has five ingredient granola bar. That's the healthiest I found. Uses dates and maple syrup. See, this is Joanne is our plant-based cooking Google source, because she'll find out all the information that you need about. And if it's not out there, she's just like a chemist in the kitchen. She'll figure it out. She'll figure out how to do it.
Thanks, Joanne. Good job. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll have to check that out. Well, Beverly, it has just been such a thrill to have you on the show. You know, I always love to see you and having you share your kitchen and your recipe and teleporting all this great granola to me. I mean, it's just so wonderful to have you, and you're a wonderful presenter. And I really want to thank you for joining us. And everybody, please stay tuned. We have a special announcement. But in the meantime, I want to thank all of you guys for joining us. We wouldn't be here if you weren't watching. And thanks for the new people that popped on. And if you can, just keep watching and sharing these things. And I also wanted to thank someone in the background who's been helping, and you may have seen her if you were watching the whole broadcast, and that's Rebecca from PKA Solves. She still has some granola left, but I don't think it's going to last very long. She's been engineering our broadcast and popping up with the questions, being very helpful. I want to thank Jess Toss from Jess Toss Voice. She did the voiceover and the countdown. But I really want to thank you guys. You're here, you're with us, you're sharing this broadcast, you're liking, you're subscribing, and we're going to make this message just go out to the world. And this is going to be like Beverly's teleport button. If you guys can just click like, subscribe. You can even type in the comments below, be strong, be well, and be green. All those things are going to help get this message out to people so we can help them achieve their goals of weight loss or improved health. And until I see you guys again, please join me with Beverly as we sign off and say, be strong, be well, and be green. Bye-bye, everybody.
Coming up next, Dr. Christina Miller is double board certified in emergency and integrative medicine. Dr. Miller focuses exclusively on nutrition and lifestyle changes to get to the root cause of disease and illness while promoting wellness and longevity in each individual. She is now proud to be part of the PlantBasedTelehealth.com team, offering plant-based telemedicine services to patients across the country. Join us for a Q&A on preventing and healing from autoimmune disease, Monday, June 28th, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific, on Be Green with Amy, live.